Welcome to Real Life Mentoring, where we explore real life issues to help you make an authentic difference in the world.
Hey, it's Chris and Christina. Today we are going to be talking about the characteristics of a mentor. And one of the things we talked about, Chris, is that this is not a one and done kind of conversation, right? We're probably going to get to maybe 2, 3 characteristics, but the list just goes on and on and on of what a mentor is, what the
Well,
characteristics
that's
look
a
like.
long. Sounds like a long list when you say on and on and on. I think there is a limit,
Yeah.
but there are several.
Sure. So we just want to give you a quick introduction about think about a place where you can sit down, take a deep breath, where you feel totally and completely known. You can talk about anything. You can talk about good things that are going on. You can talk about things that are not so good. You can talk about your struggles, maybe even your sins. You can talk about your whole story, your past, your present, your dreams for the future. That's what an authentic mentor offers to a mentee. That's what you get from an authentic mentor. So, do you have someone like that? If not, of course, we say, man, invite a mentor into your life. So today we're going to talk about what kind of mentor do you want to have? What are some characteristics to look for in a good mentor? Or maybe you're listening and going, I am a mentor. I'd like to know what those characteristics are. So that's what we're going to do today. So, Chris, we're going to just bounce back and forth. You're going to give us
Okay.
a characteristic and talk about it. And yeah, let's just get started.
A guy asked me recently, Chris, what would you want in a mentor? Which is an interesting question to ask a guy who spends his life doing that.
Yeah.
But I actually did that about 2 years ago. We were resettled back in Oklahoma about 3 years ago, and so it's probably been longer than that. But I was realizing I need a mentor in my life, but I also want not just a man who will speak into these specific areas, but I want someone with some business background because I needed a lot of help leading a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Because frankly, there's so much I didn't know and still learning. So I put a list together, and I thought, this is what I want. And so this is where some of this list came from.
Good.
So I think one of the challenges people may have, I want a mentor, and they go, but I don't know, what would that look like? So here's a few thoughts.
Okay.
I put one down. A mentor is someone who is both interpersonal and intrapersonal. Now that sounds close. Let me say it again. Interpersonal and intrapersonal. I know the interpersonal, but the intra with the I-N-T-R-A, I've not thought much about that one before.
Can we define that
Well,
for
let's do
those of
that.
us like
No.
me who are going, I don't know what you're talking
Okay,
about?
make it simple. Interpersonal is the capacity to understand and interact with others.
Okay.
Okay, makes sense. We do that all the time.
Sure.
However, some people struggle with that.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Intrapersonal is the ability to perceive an accurate model of oneself.
Okay. Say that again. Intra.
So it's internal. It's you. Is the ability to perceive an accurate model of oneself. How do you really see yourself?
Good. Okay.
Okay.
So why is that one of your top characteristics of a mentor?
Interpersonal, I want this mentor to be able to connect with me well. I want it to go back and forth. Who wants an awkward relationship? No, none of us want that, but some are just awkward. Well, why would I choose a person who to be awkward with?
Yeah.
Okay, to be my mentor?
Yeah.
Hey, you when we connect,
It feels
it's
awkward.
a bit awkward. Would you be my mentor? Now we're being goofy, but I want someone to. It's like a tennis ball match, going
Sure.
back and forth. Okay,
Sure.
and you go, man, this is good. Intrapersonal. Why is that important? I want that mentor to be able to know himself well. So let me throw a question at you with that. Then, why do you think that's important for a person to understand, perceive themselves correctly?
Right. For me, as a mentor, as somebody who pours into other women, it's really, really, really important to know who I am, what I have to offer, and to be okay if a mentee is struggling with something that is way over my knowledge base, to say, oh, sweet girl, I can empathize, I can pray, I can walk with you, but that's all I can offer. I don't know anything else. I can find out for us who would know that, but knowing my own limitations, and not be ashamed of that. Not one person should have all the answers.
Okay.
So
Well, they can't, by the way.
Duh.
Of
Yeah.
course.
But being aware of that, that's not a deficit. You
Not at
own
all.
it, and you help your mentee in the areas where you maybe don't have any knowledge.
Okay. I've grown up in a house. I say grown up. Since we've been married, we have 3 daughters.
Yeah.
So I've lived in a house full of women for all these years.
You lucky dog.
I am. What's something not only the women do? So
Yeah.
let me put it on my back as well. What is
Sure.
something we all do before we leave the house as we're getting ready?
This is a trick question. I have no idea what.
Okay, let me give you a
answer
few
is.
clues.
We
We
get
have
our
them throughout
keys.
our house.
We have them throughout our house. I don't know. Just
They're
cut
in
to
our
the chase,
bathrooms.
friend.
They're in the hallway.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I have no idea.
Mirrors.
Okay.
We look in mirrors. Do you ever get ready and leave the house without at least once looking in the mirror?
Often I do. Thank the Lord for my little.
Does it end well, though?
Yeah, because I've got a mirror in my car.
No. Okay. We can't count that.
Ooh, now we're changing the
Would you leave the
rules.
house and not looking in the mirror, get in the car and not flip the little sun visor down and look in that mirror, but just go to your first meeting?
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Why?
I'd probably have lipstick on my teeth.
Okay. And worse, I'm sure.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
well, rude. Yeah, but true.
But it makes sense. We have a mirror there, and I'd probably be embarrassed if I realized if someone counted, Chris, you looked in the mirror 8 times just getting ready. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but more than I probably want to admit.
Sure.
Okay. And why do we do that? I want to make sure that looks good, that's in place. The point is, it's like intrapersonal.
Self-aware.
Self-aware. What's really there?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
If you go to the dentist, what's one thing you're going to do in preparation?
I'm going to brush my teeth.
You're going to brush your teeth. And they appreciate that, okay?
Yes.
Okay, there's a black speck on my front tooth from my sandwich I ate at lunch. Let's take care of that.
I'm at a dentist. They'll flick
Okay.
it off. Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyway.
Self-aware. So is that fair to say being intrapersonal is being self-aware? You
It
want a
is.
mentor who's self-aware.
Do we have time for a funny story that happened to you?
Well,
I think people will appreciate it. We were dating,
yes.
and you were having lunch with a friend of ours
Yes.
who was in dental school.
Yes.
His name is Bruce.
Yes.
And tell people what happened compared to what we're talking about now, being aware.
Because of his education, his focus is on teeth. And so after lunch, as we were parting ways, he stuck his finger on my tooth and said, "Here, let me get that speck for you." It
But wasn't he
probably-
staring at your tooth first?
Yes.
Okay, and you
awkwardly.
thought, awkwardly,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah. And then, this was before COVID, finger comes up and he gets the green out of my teeth to my Yeah, I was
You were
mortified.
mortified.
Yeah.
And he was being a friend. He was being a dental student, okay? The point is...
He wasn't self-aware to know that you shouldn't do that
okay,
to people.
but he's a good man.
Yeah, he is.
He wouldn't do that today.
I hope not.
No, he
I don't
wouldn't.
know.
He was a single guy back then. We've all made mistakes. But the point is, he saw something you didn't see,
Sure.
okay? So,
Ooh, that's good.
yeah, as a mentor, I want the mentor to be self-aware.
Yeah.
Because it actually benefits him. But if he's not self-aware, it impacts me. So I
Right.
go, what do we do with that?
Good.
Okay, another characteristic, the mentor is just as human as everyone else.
Mm-hmm. So when you were making your list, you said, I want a mentor who's human.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Unpack that for us.
Okay. I want a mentor who can admit mistakes,
Okay.
who could admit, and this is being intrapersonal as well, right?
Sure,
It feeds
right,
into that.
Right.
Who can tell me about his own struggles. I relate to that as a man.
Yeah.
So could you be a human with me? Could you be real?
Mm-hmm.
I've had guys tell me before, well, Chris, I've had other men speak into my life in different ways, but it's different than what you're talking about. And I said, what is that? Because it's like a two-way street,
Yeah.
all right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're the mentor doesn't mean you cannot open up and offer that person personal information about yourself.
I love that you unpack that. Somebody who's honest and real about their mistakes, about who they are. Um, one year we were doing a video series. We were living overseas. We were going to come back for the summer and do some fundraising. And one of my mentees gave a video. And at first it hurt my feelings, but then I really appreciated what she had to say about me as her mentor. She said, I've learned more about the areas that she made mistakes in
Okay.
that she's been willing to show me
I agree.
then she has offered me, like, this is the way, walk in it kind of advice. And at first I thought, well, dang, but I totally understand what she was saying. I was so authentic to say, man, I really messed this up, or here's the way I handled something, and it did not go well. Those were the things that were really super helpful to her. And so that's what I hear when you say you want a mentor who's human. That's what you're asking for. Is that right?
Being human means making mistakes, trying again, asking for forgiveness, needing grace and mercy.
And we all need those things, but you're saying you want a mentor who tells you about those moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I relate that if I approach a mentee, let's say we're together having coffee, and I'm telling him all about how good my life has been, all the exciting things going on, and then now it's your turn. Now you talk.
Yeah.
And he's struggling with something that's really difficult in his life. The chance of him opening up and sharing that, him or her, is less likely, because it's like putting a mirror there. Oh, I can't relate to this guy. He doesn't relate to me.
Yeah.
But then you open up and start talking. We have a tool called My Life, My Story. It helps you understand another person's story. When you hear that, it just changes the relationship.
Right.
Okay.
Let's do a quick review. So we have the first characteristic is being the difference between being interpersonal and intrapersonal. We talked a lot about you want a mentor who is good at connecting, and you want a mentor who is self-aware, intrapersonal.
Very much.
Okay. Second characteristic is you said on your list you wanted a mentor who was human, meaning you wanted somebody who was real, authentic, made mistakes, learned from them, and didn't just give you a mask.
That's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wear a mask as a mentor. What's the purpose?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Share another characteristic. We have time for one more.
Just one more. We'll see. Okay, how's that? A mentor is a catalyst.
Okay. You're certainly going to have to unpack that.
Okay.
Tell us what a catalyst is.
Okay. I have a friend who's a scientist, and he gave me his definition of a catalyst. And
Okay. Well,
it hurt my brain. It hurt my brain.
Share a better version.
Okay. So, a catalyst for me, it was a cold winter's night. How's that? No. Shh. So, bring in the snow. Because I mentor men, let's go with men, or a room full of women.
Gotcha.
All right.
For me, not for you, is what you're saying.
Yeah, for you. Okay, you're mentoring women.
Gotcha.
But you're in a room full of women,
Yes.
okay? And it's freezing, and you've got this beautiful rock fireplace at the front of the room.
Yep.
And all these women are sitting around freezing, and conversation is difficult because they're just focused on getting warm. The woman who gets up, let's say that would be you, and you go, ladies, there's a box of matches here, and there's paper, and you strike the match, light the paper, and before you know it, within minutes, this roaring fire is warming the entire room. And the women are able to relax and just, oh, this is so nice. That person, that would be you, striking the match, is the catalyst. The catalyst does something, small or large at the time, that has a way to activate other people.
That's good. Let's sit on that.
Okay.
You are meeting your mentor for coffee. How does he act like a catalyst for you? How does he strike the match? How does he activate something, big or small, in your words?
The first thing that comes to mind is when we were processing the idea of starting Fahrenheit Mentoring.
Okay.
We had no experience in that. I had confidence in a lot of areas, experience as well, education as you did. I reached out to a man to say, hey, we're in a crossroads.
Yeah.
And a man who had some influence in my life in the past. That's why I approached him. And so I said, we're in a transition of careers. We know we're supposed to leave this organization, and here's a couple other options.
Right.
And he looked at the paper, and he said, well, tell me about these other possibilities. I told him, he goes, okay, but you don't sound like they fully fit you. Again, being a catalyst for us, I'll get to that. He says, Chris, why would you leave one organization and go to work for another one that doesn't fully fit you? I said, well, that's a good question, but it's already established.
Yeah.
He goes, what else are you thinking? And I was embarrassed to say this, but on number 3 on the paper, I had start something new.
Yeah.
Which would have been Fahrenheit mentoring. And he looked at me and says, Chris, why don't you just start something new? You know what that was?
He struck the match.
He struck the match. And I said, well, I turned the paper so he could read it. And I said, well, actually, that's what we're thinking.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and said, so what's the problem? And it kind of shook me. I said, well, there's no money right now. We've never started a nonprofit before. We're not sure how to do that. And because he's a man of faith, as we are, he said, Chris, God can't do that. He can't take care of these things. I said, yes. He taught me through more. We spent about 3 hours together. But where he was a catalyst, what he did, he spoke into that. But then he said, Chris, is this right for you? I said, it is. My wife's on board. I think she's waiting for me to get on board more. He goes, I want you to do this. I want you to basically call your wife and tell her that's what you guys are doing. You've agreed. I'm not telling you, but we already talked about it. Affirm her. I want you to go home and you sit down at the computer and put a business proposal together. We'd never done that.
Okay, let's stop right there.
Okay.
What he did was ignite something in you that you didn't see possible, and that's part of being a catalyst, right?
I saw the obstacles more than anything else.
That's good.
It's like, there's wood right here, guys. Strike the match.
Right. And you were just saying, well, how's the wood going to get in there, and how's the wood? And he was like, it starts with striking the match. That's what he did for you.
It did.
Okay, that's great. Let's review real quick.
Okay, there's one last piece of that story, though. Put the business proposal together, make it good. So he challenged us to get professional help, basically. Then he said, when that's ready, then I'll introduce you to a businessman who might be willing to talk to you about helping finance this. Again, he was pushing me as a catalyst.
Right.
So, recap.
Let's recap. So one of the first characteristics you said is you, again, talked about the importance of a mentor being interpersonal, being able to relate to you.
Yes.
But also being self-aware, intrapersonal. The second thing you talked about is you want a mentor to be human. You want them to share who they are. Just be real.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
The good, the bad, the ugly. And then finally, the last thing is you want that person to be a catalyst, somebody who strikes the match, who sees past what you see. Is that?
Yes, on the catalyst part, if the mentor says, I have no idea what you should do, then I don't want him to be my mentor. He may not know what to do, but he could direct me and give me a connection with someone else.
Right, I'm glad you clarified.
Yes.
Because a mentee may ask me something and I have no clue.
That happens with me.
Right.
The point
and it
is,
speaks back to that
it does.
humanness of saying, I don't know.
I don't know.
But let me find out. Let's find out together.
Right.
Yeah.
A catalyst is assertive and deliberate.
Right. Very good.
So
Now, we're saying that we believe these are universal, right? These are universal characteristics that people should be looking for in a mentor. It's not just Chris Elledge's list of I want somebody to be this, but we're saying we believe universally these are great characteristics that a good mentor should offer a mentee. Is that right?
yes, so you take a characteristic and you go, are there benefits to that characteristic?
Right.
I believe these 3 have that. They have benefits.
Exactly.
And so why not make those a part of your list? And there's many more
Yeah.
that we'll talk about on other podcasts.
So those many more, yeah. It may not be a list that you said goes on and on and on and on, but there are many. But those are 3. Those are the top 3 that we're going to leave you with today as you explore what mentoring looks like for you. If you are looking for a mentor, I love Chris's advice. Start making a list. What do you want? And we hope that the characteristics we mentioned today would be a good jumping off place. And if you are a mentor and you're already doing the work of coming alongside somebody else, evaluate those characteristics for yourself. Do you have those? Have you developed yourself in those areas? So, as always, thank you for listening. We hope that we have left you with good tools for your mentoring.